And welcome back. Let's go ahead now and examine functions that return a value in C. So previously, of course, we had looked at void functions that did not return value, but if we want to actually return values, we're going to need, of course, not use the keyword void because that indicates that it does not return value. Instead, we're going to look for functions that use the return keyword inside the function in order to get values such as int or float. So for example, we have a function here, int my function, int x, and we return 5 plus x. So if you passed into this function, for example, the parameter value of 9, and you did 5 plus 9, you would return the value of 14. So let's actually look at creating a little bit of a function here. So if we take a function that just simply takes in the sum of two variables, so let's just say my function is int x, y, well, that would just return x plus y. If we examine this just a little bit more, we of course can see we have two parameters. We have x and y, both of those are type int, and all this function does is returns the sum of those two. And that's really all it's doing. It's not really complex, and in fact, if we take this a little bit more, we want to say, let's call this function now. Well, all we need to do is in our main, just invoke the name of that function and pass in valid parameters to it. So for example, if we want to put this inside of a print statement, as we see here, we can say the result is mod d because it's an integer value being returned. And then we should say my function 5, 3. That would of course pass in the values of 5 and 3, and of course it would actually print out the value 8. We of course could also store the result into a variable. So for example, if we look here, we're going to say in result is equal to my function 5, 3. That means I'm going to first calculate that, store it into a variable, and then instead of having to put my function as part of this print statement, I can just join in the variable instead. And if we go ahead and take a look, I went ahead and created two functions here. So I have int sum and int difference, and all that you're doing is adding and subtracting. And then these are two different ways to invoke this. One is, of course, I'm going to print this using the function a, and the other one is I'm storing it into a variable first, and then I'm outputting the variable. Both these ways will work just fine, though. So if I run this, you can see I get the result is 9. The difference is 1. And if I were to add another function in here, let's just go ahead and add, let's say, a int one called product, and let's just go ahead and pass in two variables just as we have done before, so int x, int y, and let's just say we want to return x times y. Then I could come in here and either just add in, for example, another printf function. So I'm just going to add, of course, a new line escape character here because I don't want this smushed in. So we'll just say printf the product is, and since this is an integer, we're going to go ahead and make sure we mod that in. And I'll just add a new line escape character just for some continuity's sake. And we'll just join in product. Now, of course, I don't have product defined, so maybe I need to define that as something here, because if I just put product in here, it's going to refer back to this function, but I haven't given it any parameters. So let's just go ahead and just do that here. So do 5, 4, since that's what we're using the rest of this program. And if I run this, we get the product as 20. So very simple, very easy to use. It's, again, nothing that you probably haven't seen. The biggest thing you're going to start noticing as we look at these different programming languages is not what do I need to do, but how do I have to handle the syntax of that particular language to be able to accomplish the things that I want it to do.